Do you guys think there's a relationship on earth that's not transactional? I personally believe that every relationship is transactional, even with God. The term City Girls comes from the rap duo known for their unapologetic lyrics about securing the bag, whether it's through a man, a hustle, or both. This mindset has resonated with a lot of women, particularly in the dating scene, where the idea of getting something out of a relationship, be it money, gifts, or experiences, has become more normalized. The term sprinkle sprinkle has become a catchphrase for women who are encouraged to date strategically, prioritizing their financial gain. The idea is to sprinkle charm and femininity to secure a man who can provide financially.
You don't pay on dates, you don't go 50-50, and you definitely don't get pregnant.
I dropped my hair because I think I like it better like this. Now you might ask, what is the difference between these two mentalities? I do think they have their similarities, but they also have their differences. I think the major difference for me is one seems to be more ghetto than the other, and the ghetto one to me is definitely the city girl mentality. It comes off as very raunchy to me. The way they dress, the way they speak, the way they go about securing that bag, it just doesn't give off you're very cultured in a way, in my opinion. While on the other hand, we have the sprinkle sprinkle mentality, which has a level of discretion to it. I think if you know the popular person behind the sprinkle sprinkle catchphrase and the whole sprinkle sprinkle movement, Shira 7, I think she encourages people to be more in the feminine energy, to embrace femininity, to be elegant, to be classy, to not be vulgar, to not be ghetto. I think that aspect of it really generates the popularity. I think people are more inclined to go with the sprinkle sprinkle culture because of what it encourages. I think maybe in a way it does help you and it shapes your mentality to think a bit differently. I've never subscribed to the city girl mentality, so I'm not gonna talk about it. The biggest problem that I have with the sprinkle sprinkle mentality, because I did want to become a sprinkle sprinkle girl, right? Like I wanted to adopt the mentality. I don't think I ever practiced it, but I used to eat her content up when I was like 19. I was still a teen guy, so grant me some grace because I've granted myself grace. And as I have grown older and now I am in my mid 20s, I can say the biggest flaw that I had with the sprinkle sprinkle mentality and why I decided to move away from the movement was because it was so male centered. It's like, oh, dress a certain way, do this, and this high value man will like you. If you don't dress this way, this high value man will not like you. Do your hair like this. Black women do not wear your natural hair out. I found myself in this loop of always trying to dress for the male gaze, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but like if it's done to an extreme, then we have a problem. Anything that is done in excess becomes a problem. And again, you could argue and say, okay, you're doing this so you can get something at the end of the day. I mean, I get that, I guess. I have to admit that some of her teachings are actually true. Let's say you're trying to attract the so-called high value man, right? You are going to have to dress a certain way. There is nowhere a CEO of a company, of a prestigious company, is gonna find himself in cahoots with somebody who looks like a city girl. Maybe for a good night and that's it, but to have you as a wife, as a girlfriend, as somebody he introduces to people, I do think you have to carry yourself a certain way. And so I think in that sense, she is right. But I think there's something that you and I actually need to know that I don't think she tells us, or maybe she does and I just haven't maybe come across those videos. And it's that, guys, in this life, we have social classes. We have the high class, the middle class, and the low class. And these classes barely ever merge, okay? It is hard for you as a low class person to marry a middle class person. It's possible. I'm not saying it's impossible, but it is kinda impossible for you as a low class person to marry a high class person. Of course, we have some outliers, but just because somebody's an outlier or somebody's an exception to the rule doesn't make it a rule. There's a rule for a reason. There are people who can come out of that, yes, but that doesn't make it the rule. It just makes them the exception. What is the rule? The rule is that it is almost impossible to breach into another social class or another social group. On a daily basis, we are interacting with people who are on the same social class or social level or social group or social whatever with us. If let's say I am a middle class person, on a daily basis, I am interacting with fellow middle class people. Everybody I meet is obviously going to be middle class, and potentially marry from this class of people, give birth to children from this class of people, and my children are going to mingle with these people, and it's going to continue as a cycle. If you only want to dress nice and go to a bar and go to a hotel and wait for a man to come and pick you up and change your life, well, I'm sorry to break it to you guys. It gives very much escort behavior, right? Unless you're going there for yourself to have a good time, well and good. And if you happen to meet somebody, why not? If this is something that you want, if you're somebody who wants to marry up, really up, which I think a lot of people would like to marry, right? They would like to marry into like a good family, a high class family. One of the good ways to do it is via networking. And you might be asking me, how do I network? Well, networking is going to cost you some money because these people are not found in places that are cheap. They're very classist, in my opinion, right? I do think rich people are quite classist. So they're going to be found in places where it's going to be very hard for us to access them, or we're going to have to pay good amounts of money to access them. So if you want to meet this high value men, go for conferences. Those cost money. So get a job, work hard, get that money, invest it in those conferences, and please don't think you're going to find this person on one visit to a conference. You might have to invest a lot of money for these conferences, and you also, I guess, have to make peace with the fact that it might actually never happen. You need to be okay with that, and it's okay, right? Or the other way is to just work really hard, get a good job, get a job where you're gonna be in the presence of these people. And all these options, guys, are not easy. It's not as easy as it sounds. It's not just buying a dress, changing your hair, changing your nails. I'm not saying these things don't help, but I'm saying these are not the most important things. Today's question is, do you guys think there's a relationship on earth that's not transactional? Or not even just on earth, like in general, do you think there's a relationship that's not transactional? I personally believe that every relationship is transactional. The relationship we have with our friends, with our partners, with our families, with our co-workers, with our bosses, even with God. I would like to hear what you guys think, but let me clarify why I say I think the relationship that we have with God is transactional, because I know some people might say they agree with me saying most relationships are transactional except the one with God. I think it's transactional in the sense that you have to do certain things for you to get certain things out of the kingdom of God. And if you don't do these things, I believe you won't get the things that you want. And that for me screams transaction. So if I do this, I get this in return. That is a transaction. If I'm unable to do these things, I won't get this in return. Plain and simple. But you can let me know what you think. And let's talk about it in the comment section. I would like to hear your thoughts on that. And hopefully it's not too controversial for some people. Now let's get into how relationships are transactional and how they're resembling sex work nowadays. So I know I said that I think all relationships are transactional, and I don't mean that in the monetary sense. So let me just clarify. I think all relationships are transactional because we all get something out of our partners. Even in genuine, pure, and intentional love, you are having an exchange, right? You know what, guys? Sometimes I feel really sorry for men. Because like nowadays with first dates, it's like I'm not going on a date unless he's doing this for me, unless he's taking me out to a very expensive restaurant, unless he's bringing me flowers. Like I've been there, girl. Like I have done that, so I know, and I feel sorry for these men. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Like if your standards are that high, keep them that high, but date people who are on that level. I think that's what it adds up to. Like date people who are on that level. Don't date somebody who doesn't have the money and ask them to do all those things. I don't think it's fair, right? I don't think it's fair. I really do not think it's fair in that sense, because you having this man do things he cannot do. I think this whole dating thing and how people want something in return, and usually monetary gain, is also just as a result of everything that we see on TikTok. Because you be seeing these girls in expensive cars receiving expensive gifts. But guys, really and truly, we do not know anybody's life. We do not know what these girls be going through. We do not know what they be doing for this money. You know, the girls in Dubai doing certain things for this money, and then they come here and they showcase that stuff, and you feel pressure, and you feel the pressure to put it on your man as well. So I feel, in my own opinion, to conclude this video, are you with a person who can give you these things? If you're not, can you find the person who can give you these things? And if you're going to find this person, can you find this person in the most ethical way? These are some of the questions you should ask yourself. If you're not able to find somebody who can give you these things, and the man you're with is unable to give you these things, I think it should be okay. As long as he's doing what he can do at his level, it is fine. But if he's not doing what he's supposed to be doing at his level, then yeah, we have a bit of a problem. But if he's still able to take care of you with what he has, honestly, I don't think there's anything wrong with that, in my opinion. But this is just my opinion. I hope you guys liked this video. I am gonna conclude this video here, and I'll see you guys next time.